Hello, my name is Chad Roberts, and for a while I have been wanting to do this, and so today's the day. So, what's been important to me for a long time in my life is finding ways that are like, on the ground ways of improving the quality of my life. And, you know, it makes sense to me that if I find certain things that improve the quality of my life, to share them. And so that's the purpose of me hopping on here. And, one thing that I've found so far that I think is highly beneficial as I look back over my life is realizing the phenomenon of life tilts positive. And what I mean by that is that, for example, if you cut yourself, what happens? Well, naturally it heals. If you cut your hair and you don't like it, well, are you stuck with it like that for life? No. Now, obviously things can come up, like there can be, somebody develops a sort of ailment or an illness and it doesn't heal, let's say. They could even end up what we call dying from it. Does that mean that life does not tilt positive? No, life tilts positive. The sun comes up every morning, the grass still, continues to grow, the ocean doesn't somehow spill out into everywhere, it's still somehow magnetically or whatever stays contained in its space. Um, you know, there's a natural order to things, and it all falls within that phenomenon of life tilts positive. And, typically the only time that something occurs like, let's say if you were to cut yourself and it were to not heal, or, if somebody develops an illness and let's say, you know, they end up dying from it, you know, again, it could be easy to conclude that, well, life did not tilt positive there. Well, no, life did tilt positive. It's like the law of gravity. It doesn't stop. It's always on, right? It's just that one might have enough resistance in their mix. They could have enough, worrisome thoughts going on for them. And, that creates static in our vibration. That creates static in our energy field. And that can then end up hindering the natural healing process that would take place, because that's just how it goes. But we are that powerful, especially mind over matter. We are that powerful that we can essentially, if there's enough resistance in the way, we could prevent a healing, that would naturally be there for us. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty powerful thing to acknowledge in life, is that life does have our best interest in mind. If something doesn't go the way that we anticipate it going, or that I should say, that we would like it to go, it doesn't mean that life is not conspiring in our favor, because it always is. Just like that law of life tilts positive, there is that we are always being guided to the next best thing. God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call that phenomenon that we cannot quite tangibly put our finger on, is always leading us to the next best. And the next best looks like what we have shown it, that through the living of life, that we would prefer. And that doesn't always have to come in words. I don't have to pray, oh, universe, give me X, Y, and Z. No, the universe knows what I want before I'm even consciously aware of it, um, because it has that sort of, bird's eye, God's eye view and sees it all. I'm, having the experience of like, I'm in the forest and I can't see for the trees, but I'm being guided constantly by God, source, the universe, my intuition, my inner being, whatever you want to call it. It's all one and the same. Everything works together. And so, there is always that I'm always, and you, and we are all always on our way to better. And the only time something might not pan out the way that we would like for it to pan out is because we again have enough resistance going on in the mix. You know, we might have a belief, we may have a wish for something to turn out a certain kind of way, but if there is a belief, a core belief, and sometimes we don't see our core beliefs because we're pretty good. We're really good actors sometimes. We're very good at even, I don't want to say lying to ourselves, but you know, we don't like to allow ourselves to see certain things because we don't want to hurt our own feelings, or we don't want to deal with, you know, seeing that, you know, we're not letting ourselves have the thing that we want because, you know, we're so afraid to move in the direction of it. Like, for example, I've wanted to do this for a very long time, but I've not done it. And, you know, what's been there for me is that, you know, I don't know, afraid that I might look bad, afraid that, you know, it wouldn't be received well, or that I might be ridiculed, or, you know. But then finally, you know, here I am. It gets to a point where it's like, do it anyway. Why not? You know, get it out there. So, like, there it is. That's me getting out of my own way, right? So, like, before I had enough resistance in the mix that, you know, something that I've wanted to do for a long time, I might say, well, universe, why aren't you bringing it to me? Well, the universe was bringing it to me. The universe was constantly encouraging me through the path of least resistance. This platform, YouTube, I mean, it's pretty easy. I'm just recording a video and then just post it and put it out there, right? That's the path of least resistance for me sharing with others. One of them, because I share with people on the street and that I meet in the food store, and I do share, but this is an even greater way of getting the messages out there even more and more. You know, so like right there, I got out of my own way. So the resistance dropped, and now look, now a new day can be ushered in, right? So yeah, I invite you to keep that in mind, to really, you know, maybe have a look in your own life, do a little self-inquiry as to, you know, why maybe something, pick one thing, maybe not the thing that you're most pent up about, because sometimes it's hard. You know, you've got a lot of resistance then going on. Sometimes it can be hard to see around that. So maybe pick something that's not as intense for you, but definitely something that you want, and have a look and see, you know, is there like any sort of perpetration going on there? Are you holding yourself back in any way? And then, you know, doing what we're all so good at, blaming others or blaming the universe, or, you know, blaming God or whatever, you know, for not giving you, you know, that what it is that you want, because, you know, it really is about making the first step, isn't it? You know, there's I heard a saying once, I don't remember who wrote it, but it was leap and the net shall appear. I'll say it again, that is leap and the net shall appear. Not the net shall appear and then you leap. Because what a boring life that would be. You know, that would completely take the adventure out of life. That would completely take the having something exciting, you know, going on in your experience out of life. It would be so boring and predictable. And then that would be the next thing we'd be complaining about, is that life is just so boring or whatever, you know. Life is only boring because we make it boring. Life is not boring. There's just too much variety. There's too much in the mix. You know, we hold ourselves back so much, and it's just about, you know, letting ourselves go and just, you know, stepping out there, as in like, what do you want to create? What's one thing that you want to create for yourself? I'll give an example. Years ago, I wanted to live in the United States, and I had no idea how to make that happen. You know, and I was living on an island in the Bahamas, and year after year after year went by because I was waiting for something to come and show up to give me the means. I was waiting for my net to appear, and then I would leap. Well, that never happened. What it ended up coming down to is that I, you know, got pretty backed up. I got, you know, into a state of pretty intense depression. Like, I couldn't have imagined life getting any worse. And, you know, and I didn't need to let it get to that place. It didn't have to get to that place, but it's okay, because here it is. Life was tilting positive. It was still encouraging me no matter what, right? And so it got to the point where, you know, I personally felt like I had nothing to lose at that point. You know, I got to the point where it was like I saw no point in living, because I just didn't want the life that I had, and I wanted and this is probably just me being dramatic, but like that's the way it showed up or occurred for me. I wanted another life so much so, but I wasn't going. I wasn't letting myself do it. And I would remind myself, I would say, you know, there are people in this world that are in a situation where they're living, they can't just hop in their car and drive to the airport and get on a plane and put themselves somewhere where they would prefer to be, you know. And I'm not encouraging everybody to do it, you know, the way I did it, because when I did it, I had no idea how I was going to survive. I thought I was going to be sleeping on the beach, you know. And that might sound glamorous in some ways, but I mean, I don't think that would be very glamorous, right? But, you know, it was just, I guess for me, intuitively, what was always there was get there and it will work out, right? Now, that might not be the path for everybody, because some people are not going to go for that. I tend to have more of an adventurous spirit about me, and so that was the path of least resistance for me. That's how it seemed most attractive to me, but and so that's my unique path, right? And that's what I was being guided towards. Doesn't mean that's for everybody, but this is just an example, right? So, you know, I chose to take that path of least resistance at a certain point. Again, unfortunately, I let it go to the point where it got so bad. It was just like, to me, it seemed like I didn't have any other choice at that point other than just to stay. And I know I would have just suffered, right? Because just the way that I was perceiving it, because I had it made out that my situation was so bad and I didn't want that and I wanted this instead. But the universe doesn't care about any of that. The universe just wants to help you to get to what you want. That's why you're here. Like, that's why as a soul or a spirit, we've all incarnated into this experience. We didn't come to live a life that we don't want to live. That makes no sense. Unfortunately, I would say about 98% of the world is living that way. 98% of the world is waking up and going into a life that they can't stand and that they don't want to live. If they're being really truthful. Now, most people might not tell you that because it's out of fear of looking bad, but you know, if they be really honest with themselves, like in that moment right before they fade off and go to sleep at night, or right when they're waking up and they're, you know, there's just for some reason some real level of honesty there. Most people are not living a life that they want to live. And that's because, you know, they're just not really honoring their truth. And you know, gosh, this is my first time doing this, and as I'm looking at this, I see like a microphone and it has a slash through it. I hope there is audio being recorded on this, for goodness sakes. But anyway, I'll do it again if need be. But anyway, you know, it's just about getting out of our own way, you know, and it's about, you know, we're all being guided, we're all being led, you know, there's not one of us that does not have a guidance system. There's no such thing. It's just that to varying degrees, some of us are more sensitized to our guidance system than others. I know for myself, yes, that's always been there to a certain degree, but it's there to a certain degree for everybody. What I've done is I have spent so many years, I had my hitting rock bottom at 24. I'm 43 now. Just turned 43. And, you know, I will say in a noticeable way, from that 24 to 43, I have been clawing and climbing, spending what I would say like, what would seem like inordinate amounts of time, you know, attempting to, you know, get to the best place that I could possibly be, you know, like I felt like I had a lot of tracks that were laid down in my mind. I'm borrowing this off of Ellen Burstyn. I heard her say this one time, that, you know, we have these tracks laid down in our mind. It's to do with our conditioning, ideas that we've bought into in life, and these sorts of, you know, tracks get laid down, and then that's just the way we go through life. Well, at a certain point, one gets to decide if they want to dig up those tracks because they're not working, but then you got to put down some new tracks, right? So that's been where that's what I've spent most of my life towards now for the past almost 20 years. I mean, truly, I've probably been doing it all along, but really I'm cognizant of it, certainly within the last almost 20 years. And yeah, so, you know, it's to you know, kind of round this off, or, you know, wrap it up. It's about, you know, getting out of our own way, really, is what I want to say there. And a good way to do that is by looking for ways looking for the examples maybe in your own life, and it helps sometimes because if you're wondering how something will work out, there's mystique there. So there's not the knowing yet of how that will work out, and because there may be some fear there, you might not be able to find examples as easily as if you look back on your life. Because you know, like if I look back on my life, I truly have to say everything has always worked out for me. It's been pretty crummy at times, but then if I look at that, a lot of that was me in the way, you know, and when I got out of the way, then things got better, you know. But I would have to be willing to be really honest and say that, because oftentimes we don't even want to look bad to our own selves, much less admit it to somebody else, you know, because we like to be right. You know, we like to prove points and we like to be right. Well, that doesn't get us so far. I know it hasn't gotten me very far, and that's something I'm definitely working on. So, you know, I just encourage you, as I do every day in my life, to really look for examples of how life is working out for you. You know, what are some good examples of how life does tilt positive and how you are being led to the next best thing? You know, how many examples can you write them down? Like, how many examples can you find? Whether you write them down or just make a mental note of them, but I advise writing them down, because then it just something about putting it on paper, and that way you don't forget and you can read through these lists. And you know, because life is set up in a way it can do a pretty good job at convincing you that it's not working out for you. But when you have enough concrete evidence in front of you that's personal to you, that you know you've had that life experience, and you can look back and say, yeah, hey, life is, to say mostly working out for me, well, no, I'm still here. Life is working out for me. You know, and today's another day, so I certainly have another, you know, shot at it, whatever it may be. And yeah, you know, and really, and see for yourself. But you got to prove it to yourself. Like, I can't give it to you in words, and you know, people can tell you whatever they see for you, but unless you see it, unless you do the self-work and the digging and the self-inquiry and discover for yourself, not just based off of some, you know, fanciful stuff that I'm saying or somebody else is saying, and until you discover it for yourself, it really it won't make a big difference for you. You know, it'll just be more knowledge that you'll put on the shelf of your mind, and it'll sit there. And you have enough knowledge at this point. We all do. I mean, shoot, we have Google. If we need more knowledge, you know, we have so much knowledge at this point. And knowledge is a great thing, right? But it's got to come to life. It's got to live, you know, in you and from you. So, yeah. Anyway, I invite you to do that with me. I invite you to, you know, go throughout your day today and in the days to come, you know, really looking for ways that life is working out, how you can prove to yourself, because it will make you a lot more peaceful and a lot more confident with life and your place here, and you're walking through life if you are of the Constitution, not something that's nice that you keep saying to yourself to try and convince yourself, but like you really get for yourself that, no, hey, look, life is working out for me. Not because I want to believe that, but like I have damn good evidence of that. You know, and anything that, you know, I can say, well, look, it's not working out there. Hey, you don't know how it's going to work out. You're still alive, you know, and maybe, you know, something doesn't end up working out the way that you were hoping it was going to work out, very much so, because now there's something so much better there for you, and you wouldn't want that, because that would be like pittance in comparison to now, you know, through your living of life, you're constantly re-amending things and reassessing, and oh no, actually it would be better like this, and oh, I thought it'd be good like that, but it'd be way better like this. So you don't want the universe to give you that thing that's then back there that you thought would be good back at that time, at that stage, even if it was like 2 days ago, because now you're at an evolved state these 2 days later, and you know, now it can be something so much more, so now you're on your way to that. You know, and just waiting for it to, like, not waiting, but, you know, working with life so it can tip into manifestation. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your ear. And, you know, I hope this is valuable. I really hope that you get something out of this. I know it's been very impactful for me in my life. And, you know, God, I know what it's like to be a beggar looking for bread. And if I find bread, I want to, you know, share that with you. Because I'm of the Constitution that there's not like some limited amount of bread. No, it's infinite. I'm of the Constitution that it's infinite. So, you know, I'm not going to hoard that to myself. I'm going to get that information out there. So I hope that this makes a difference for you, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and lots of love, and I'll see you again soon. All right, bye-bye.